Hello and welcome to Double Talk. I'm Mark Steffen.
I'm Teddy Aspen. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us here.
Thank you, Ted, for filling in for the vacationing Michael Mandel.
It's always a pleasure to be here with you, Mark.
He's off in Scotland, you know.
No, I did not know that.
He is. He's probably tasting Scottish whiskies as we speak. And I told him to bring me back a shot glass as a souvenir.
Well, I hope it's not too cold up there in Scotland for you, Mike Mandel, and I hope you're not shivering in your kilt.
You know what's underneath a Scotsman's kilt?
No, I do not know what is underneath the
You
Scotsman's
don't?
kilt. No.
He's supposed to say nothing. And I answer back, everything. But, so Michael, he's going to be gone next week too. And there will be another guest host at that time joining us. And so Michael better be having a whole lot of fun.
I'm certain he is.
To be dissing the show like he is.
A lot to talk about when he gets back.
Now, there's a lot of protests going on in the state this past week. Up in Albuquerque, there's a lot of protests because of another Albuquerque police killing. They shot a homeless man who was in the act of giving himself up. And there were huge protests. He was the 37th person shot by police since 2010. And
the third one in the last 3 weeks, from what I understand, as well.
Yes. I mean, these things just go on and on. They've killed over 23 people since 2010. The FBI is investigating these killings as violations of people's
Civil rights.
Civil rights, not to mention their living rights. And in fact, there was a protest here in Las Cruces this week in sympathy with people in Albuquerque, protesting the killings by Albuquerque Police Department. Now, Las Cruces Police Department, they've killed a few people in the last couple of years as well. So far, they've been determined as justified, but then the Albuquerque Police Department has determined that the last 24 killings have been justified. And, well, we'll see if this one gets the same rating, the homeless man who is giving himself up.
Do they make those reports available to the public by any chance? I mean, I never really looked into it, so I don't know.
Well, they are public record once these things are completed.
Is there any way for the public to investigate? Because I mean, I support the police department. I believe that that is one of the toughest jobs. I mean, they can go out at 8 in the morning to go to work and perhaps never come home.
Yeah.
I am all for police and firemen getting pay raises to get paid very deservingly for what they do. However, I'm certain there's some sort of stress level that can push them to the brink where it can cause them to make poor choices in situations. I mean, is there any way that there's...
Well, the job also seems to attract a certain bully mentality and a type of person that tends to abuse their power that they've been given. I've seen examples of it personally. I think many of us have, where the police abuse the power that they have. It's an artificial power they would never otherwise have, and they seem to forget that. So we have to constantly be vigilant for this. But in Albuquerque, they have this trigger-happy mentality, it seems, and we hope that doesn't spread to other communities in the state. Like I said, the FBI is investigating it, and that could take months, if not a year.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem that's really contagious. It's just I'm certain that there is a very high stress level, especially in Albuquerque. I mean, just in the 5 years I was up there, I witnessed a lot of crimes that went unreported, especially in the apartment complex I lived in alone, much less in the whole city. So, and I'm certain that the Albuquerque police force is also well understaffed. So that means longer shifts, higher stress levels. And my concern, is there any way to give these policemen some R&R or any kind of stress relieving, therapy or something like that to help combat this? Because I'm thinking it's not just that they're gun happy or, not all of them are bullies, but I just think that, there's a certain level of stress that does cause them to make
I think
poor
after
decisions.
they're on the job a certain period of time, they get this mentality of us against them. And they look at everyone as a force that's against them, and they're against everybody else. I think that's unfortunate. What kind of crimes were you witnessing?
Oh man, there's all kinds. Gang crime, frequent break-ins. I actually had a vehicle that was stolen while I was in Albuquerque. And I mean, it was a pretty common occurrence. I mean, if I didn't see the policeman's lights in my neighborhood at least once a night, I got worried because chances are they'd be coming for me.
What neighborhood were you living in?
I was up on in the Heights, which is supposed to be the safe area.
East Central?
Well, up in Copper and Tramway.
Okay. When I lived in Los Angeles, I had 2 cars stolen during the time I was there. Only got one back. No thanks to the cops.
Well, I mean, there's only so much they can do. I mean, I do feel bad for people that have been victims like myself. On the same note, I mean, it is true. I mean, there is that us against them mentality that the police have, but it is kind of sensationalized a little bit by like movies, say like, I'm going to date myself here, but like Colors and all that stuff, like glamorize gangs and really, that anti-police, anti-establishment thing. I mean, I can't understand, fighting back against the government and fighting back against the machine for our own personal rights. But in a case like this, where the police force is kind of, unfortunately our only source of safety when need be, I think they are like overburdened by the workload that they have.
They are, and unfortunately there's a certain element of crooked cops out there that are just an endemic part of the system that I don't think we'll ever get away from. But and that's an entire different subject in itself. But we're just here today to report about the protests that have been going on about these cop killings by cops in Albuquerque, and so much so that they asked the Las Cruces Police Department to help them investigate up there. They're wanting several police departments around the state to help investigate. The Las Cruces Police Department ultimately said, no, we're not going to participate. I don't know why that is. I guess they have better things to do than help Albuquerque investigate their own cops killing people. But anyway, there's other things killing people in Las Cruces right now.
Such as?
Something called a norovirus. Up at the Good Samaritan retirement home, the norovirus, attack of the norovirus, is what's going on right now at the Good Samaritan. 7 people up there have been hospitalized by this thing. And actually, here's some tips and information about the norovirus and the outbreak and what you can do to prevent it, which includes wash your hands before eating and drinking, after going to the bathroom, use soap and water, and vigorous washing of your hands for 15 to 20 seconds. Rinse your hands thoroughly. They say sing happy birthday twice. That's about as long as it takes to wash your hands thoroughly after going to the bathroom or before you're going to touch food and implements. Because, if you touch anything somebody else has touched, you really should wash your hand. A doorknob, you're going to shake hands. People blow their nose and they shake your hand. Anything other people touch, you should wash your hands afterwards before putting your hands to your face. Alcohol-based rubs are effective, not the antibiotic rubs. If you're going to clean down a surface, they recommend the alcohol or the chlorine-based wipes, not the antibiotic wipes, because those don't last. But the chlorine-based wipes are best to use on surfaces that you're going to prepare food on. And bleach wipes kill all viruses. Actually, what bleach does, and alcohol too, it dehydrates the virus particles. They just dehydrate and they lose the moisture from within. Now, the symptoms of the norovirus include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramping, and it's common to have weakness, fatigue, and headaches associated with the above symptoms. And the symptoms can last up to 3 days. And dehydration is a common complication because you're throwing up and you're having diarrhea, so you need a lot of fluid replacement. And so they're saying up there that they're going to limit any activities until 4 days after the last outbreak. So say if someone comes down with an outbreak today on Saturday, it'll be 4 more days until people will be allowed to visit or that any activities can take place. And they also say to disinfect surfaces, what you do is prepare a chlorine bleach solution. 1/3 of a cup of bleach to 1 gallon of water. And that's what you use to wipe down surfaces. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Now, the norovirus is a leading cause of outbreaks of diarrhea and vomiting in the U.S., and it does spread quickly. And it spreads by contact with an infected person or by touching a contaminated surface, or eating contaminated food or drinking contaminated water. And the norovirus particles can even float through the air and then settle on surfaces, spreading the contamination. Norovirus particles are extremely small, and billions of them are in the stool and vomit of infected people, which is why in a nursing home scenario, it can be very prevalent. Any vomit or diarrhea may contain norovirus and should be treated as though it does. So up at Good Samaritan, that's what they're doing. They're assuming any of these bodily fluids are going to have the norovirus.
And I mean, is this just a stronger outbreak of a flu virus, or what is? I mean, so I'm kind of confused. And it just sounds to me like it's still just a flu.
It's a virus. They call it the stomach bug, and they say that people can transfer norovirus to others for at least 3 days after being sick. So that's why they say 4 days after the last outbreak.
Okay, so just ensure that the virus has been...
Right. Viruses are much harder to kill than other germs, like amoebas, amoebic dysentery, and things like that. A virus can last for years. Just set aside. It can kind of like spring back to life if it gets moisture or something that can activate it. So viruses are crazy. So anyway, that's what's going on up at the Good Samaritan, and that's why maybe they have a nice auditorium there that I've been to many times, where they hold activities for outside groups to utilize the auditorium that they have there. They have a nice stage, and all those activities have been canceled for the time being. But what hasn't been canceled is the open house at the Trinity site, which is where the first atomic bomb was exploded.
Indeed it is.
The first nuclear device to be triggered occurred basically it's part of the White Sands Range, north of White Sands, north of, well, they say Alamogordo, it's northwest of Alamogordo. And the open house is today. It's open from 8 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. And to get there, you take Interstate 25 north, you get off at San Antonio, you head east on the state highway there until you get to the Stallion Gate. Turn right at the gate and proceed for 10 miles in. And that's where you will find a place to park. And you can actually go to Ground Zero. You can touch the monument, which is constructed on Ground Zero, where the first atomic blast occurred. And in past times, I've been there once, and they even took you on a bus to a nearby farmhouse, which is where they assembled the bomb the day before. And apparently they're no longer taking people to that farmhouse. They've kind of contracted the open house. They used to have it twice a year, now it's only once a year. And the radiation levels there are very low. You don't have to really worry about getting an increased dose of radiation just because you go there. But you can find pieces of trinitite, which is a mineral that was made when the heat of the nuclear blast fused particles of sand together to form a new element. And here's a picture of the blast taken microseconds into its formation before it actually erupted into the mushroom cloud that we're all familiar with. So it takes about an hour. It takes about 2 hours to drive up there. A good 2 hours, and you're there. You can be there as long as you want to, I guess, until they throw you out at 2 o'clock. So you want to wear a hat and sunscreen. You are in the desert, and so it's a desert environment. Now they did, because of the atomic blast. There's a picture of the bomb right there. They did. You could now make the driest martini in the world because of the atomic bomb. People don't realize this. What happened is when they put the bomb up on a tower, and one of the scientists put a bottle of vermouth up there, so that when the bomb went off, the vermouth was vaporized into the atmosphere. So no matter where you are now on Earth, the vermouth is in the air. So when you're ready to make a martini, you take your martini glass, you just hold it up in the air. Then you add your gin, and that is the driest martini on Earth.
Well, I think we should go take a break and have ourselves a little martini. How does that sound?
We'll do that. Let's take a break now, and when we come back, you will join us.
Welcome to Buena Vida Women's Club, located away from the crowds but close to home. Come in throughout the day for Jazzercise, the world's dance fitness leader for nearly 40 years. treat yourself to a relaxing massage, or unwind in the lounge area or outside on the balcony with friends. La Buena Vida Women's Club, located and designed with women in mind. For information, call Diane at 650-9721.
Hey, you, come here. Do you want to know the news? The Lost Cruises channel is now on 7 days a week, so keep it right here.
Fiesta Motors. Come and see us today and discover why our service is second to none. In business for over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, we do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there. Celebrate Fiesta Motors, where buying a car is always a celebration.
Hello, welcome back to Double Talk. Mark Steffen along with Teddy Aspen here on Channel 98's only real talk show. Now, we were talking about events going on around Las Cruces, and one of the events that affects probably more people than anything else in Doña Ana County, being the poor county that it is the minimum wage. I've had to work for minimum wage. I'm sure you have too.
Frequently. Still
And
doing it, as a matter of fact.
people with college degrees, master's degrees, have had to get a job for minimum wage while they try to get a real job that they should have. But even a real job around here in Las Cruces doesn't pay that much. And many people I know in their 60s are working minimum wage jobs, which right now in Las Cruces is $7.50 an hour, which is 25 cents above the national wage. Now there's talk to raise the minimum wage nationwide, but Las Cruces is talking about raising it on their own. Right now, 18,000 people in Doña Ana County earn $15,000 or less per year because they're working minimum wage. 9,300 of those people are in restaurant, retail, and health positions. So what people who are proposing an increase in the minimum wage for the Las Cruces area are proposing is $8.30 an hour now, and then it'll increase to $10.10 an hour January 1st, 2016. That's the amount that President Obama has requested take place on January 1st, 2016. That would be the national minimum wage.
Yeah, but I've always been kind of iffy on minimum wage because, I mean, yes, it is nice to get paid more and all that. However, in order to adjust for the minimum wage for the people to earn that money, everything else goes up. The cost of living goes up.
Does it really?
Yes. I mean, back when I was, let's see, how old was I? I was like 21, maybe 22, somewhere when I was working at Pizza Hut. They raised the minimum wage from $3.35 to, I think it was $5.15 at the time or whatever. And of course, whenever that wage went up, everything in the restaurants increased, and I noticed it in other places as well that had significantly larger minimum wage employees. That the minimum wage caused an increase in the prices of all the products. So, I mean, is it really beneficial to raise minimum wage whenever the cost of everything is going to go up to adjust so the employees can earn that minimum wage?
So do you think if we lower the minimum wage, prices would go down?
I highly doubt it. Unfortunately, all these
wouldn't.
companies, enjoy that money that comes in. If we're already used to paying this much for it, they know we're going to continue to pay this much for it. I mean, I'm sorry, us as consumers, we're sometimes sheep that just kind of get led to the slaughter, and that would be one of the downfalls of it.
Well, a business, many of the businesses that, like the small, 15% of the workers, only 15% of the workers making minimum wage work in small businesses of 10 employees or less. Some business owners say, well, if I had to raise the minimum wage, I'd have to go out of business. Well, they've been raising the minimum wage all along as business owners. And if they have to go out of business for the next time it gets raised, do they really have a viable business? If that's going to put them out of business. I mean, do they have that little regard for their own workers? I mean, there's the minimum wage isn't really a livable wage. And a livable wage is what we're talking about here. People say, well, the minimum wage is just for people who are out of college, just getting into the workplace. You're not meant to, raise a family on that. But like I said earlier, 18% of the people in Doñana County make $15,000 or less. People in their 30s and 40s and 50s are supporting themselves and their families on minimum wage jobs, some on 2, 3, or 4 minimum wage jobs at a time, with a husband and wife working on these jobs. $7.50 an hour means you're on food stamps, so we're all paying for that. It means you could be qualified for welfare. We're all getting, there's other subsidies people can access if you're only making minimum wage jobs. So what's the upshot? Would our taxes go down if we paid more if minimum wage went up? Maybe we wouldn't be paying so much in taxes to support the people who can't get by on the minimum wage. I don't know. I'm for the minimum wage going up. If you were to look at the minimum wage in the 50s compared to today's money, it should be over $15 an hour today if we were to have kept up with just the cost of living increases for minimum wage, and we haven't done that. So I'm going on record to saying I'm all for the $8.30 an hour increase now, which probably won't happen until the end of the year, and $10.10 an hour January 1st, 2016. That'll be the year of our election.
Go figure. What else is happening here in Doñana County?
Well, we were talking about cops on the rampage earlier. A Doñana County Sheriff's deputy on his way to a call lost control of his vehicle, ran off the road, mowed down a sign, and unfortunately, he ran down a woman who was walking along the side of the road, killed her, the poor thing. And she was a 44-year-old lady by the name of Natividad Nunez from Mesquite, and the cop ran over her, killed her. We don't know what the circumstances yet. That's under investigation by the Las Cruces Police Department. Luckily, the Doñana County Sheriff's Office isn't allowed to investigate themselves, and the state police are also investigating. Now, another thing going on this weekend, in fact today, it started yesterday, Friday, and it's going on today over at the Las Cruces Convention Center, is the Southwest Senior Lifestyle Expo. And from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, you can go down there. If you're a senior, you can go down there and find out all kinds of goods and services available to you. I'm sure there will be all kinds of vendors there that cater to your wants and needs. You don't have to be a senior to show up. And there are free health screenings you can take advantage of. On-site antique appraisers will be there. People will be there selling items from estate sales. There will be naturalist talks, birding, a little birding lecture, history talks, master gardener talks, live music, and cooking demonstrations. So the Mesilla Valley Swing Band will be there. Now it's $15 a person to get in the door, or $25 a couple. I suggest you seniors go there as a couple. Now, a $3 donation supports the community of Hope, and so there will be vintage radios on display, radio show reenactments. I guess they're going to have actors doing old radio show reenactments.
That would be nice to see.
They didn't call me about that. You used to be in radio.
Absolutely, yeah.
They should have called you, except you're a busy man.
A lot of fun too. I mean, I remember I used to have a collection of old radio shows like Burns and Ellen, the Bickersons. I mean,
I love all that.
Lots of great stuff. I mean,
I have some of those.
Just that alone might be worth the price of admission. But there's also some great dancing as well. So, for you seniors who like to cut a rug tonight from 6 to 9:30, I believe, they've got the Mesilla Valley Swing Band. So come on out and
9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, hey, you could go as a single, and you might hook up with another single who's there on their own. So it might be a good way for you singles to meet somebody new. And that's put on by Southwest Seniors Magazine. In fact, Keith Welpley, who's the editor and publisher of that magazine, will be sitting in this spot next week. So we look forward to that.
Be a nice addition.
Now, we're talking about radio shows. You and I used to both do radio. We both do theater.
We do indeed.
You now are involved in producing a theatrical production.
I am indeed.
Tell us all about that.
Well, I am producing and directing a play that's currently the longest-running show in the city of Chicago. Forgive the title. It's called Co-ed Prison Sluts.
Well, it is what it is.
That's the actual poster from
Co-ed
Chicago.
Prison Sluts.
It is done by live actors in Chicago, which still runs every Saturday night, 10:30 in Chicago. However, on the April 11th, 12th, 18th, and 19th at the West End Art Depot, located at 401 North Messiah Street, we will be presenting this play. However, we're going to change it up. It is going to be done with puppets.
Puppets.
Hand puppets, similar to Muppets. We're going to completely satirize Sesame Street.
I see.
So it's a musical set in a prison that has both male and female inmates.
Co-ed prison.
Exactly. We've got an evil clown, a maniacal cross-dressing psychiatrist, lots of songs, and we got the High Desert Brewery on hand to sell their delicious micro beers. So come on out and join us. It's only $5 a person.
Now, how many clowns do you tend to see in prisons these days?
I haven't been to prison, so I'm going to have to take your word on how many there are.
Why would you ask me? Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and with a play with a title like that, and it's a style piece, and it's a great comedy with a lot of wry wit to it, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You can't go wrong with a thing like that.
Yes, it has puppets, but leave the kids at home because this is guaranteed to scar your inner child.
Now, why did you decide to make it with puppets instead of live people?
Originally, the company is called the Crackbox Graduate Project, and it was designed to give college students who've graduated from the Mexico State Theater Arts Department a chance to add to their resumes so they can go out and pursue other jobs or perhaps graduate school. And one of the people I was talking to is a puppet designer. And at the time, he was interested in doing it with me, but then he kind of backed out at the last minute. And I spent a couple of days thinking about it, and I thought this is just twisted enough to work that I had to pursue it.
Okay, so you stuck with the puppet motif. How many puppet characters are there in the show?
There's a total of 8, but 6 main puppets that kind of take us on the thrill ride through the show.
And how many actors operate these puppets?
We've got 9 actors total. Well, there's 9 actors total, but 7 of the actors actually man the puppets.
So the actors not only operate the puppets, but they say the lines.
They say the lines, they sing, and also incorporated a few small dance numbers.
Interesting.
Nothing amazing, but yeah, still a good time to be had by all.
Well, that sounds awesome. I intend to be there. And there's only one other show in Las Cruces this weekend, and that's The Lion in Winter at the Las Cruces Community Theater. Many of us are familiar with the movie with Peter O'Toole and Katharine Hepburn. She won an Oscar for that movie.
Yes, she did.
And Peter O'Toole was brilliant. Anthony Hopkins was in there, and a future James Bond was in there. What's his name?
Timothy Dalton?
Timothy Dalton, yep. And it was a brilliant film. It's a brilliant play written by Robert Bolt. I look forward to seeing it there at the Las Cruces Community Theater downtown. And we're pretty much out of time, Ted. I look forward to seeing you at your puppet show next week, April 11th and 12th, and the 18th and 19th, right here in Las Cruces. Thanks for joining me, Ted, on the show this week.
It's always a pleasure
when you drop in. Thank you for joining us right here on Double Talk.
Enjoy your weekend.